Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk about empowering collaboration with technology and what special education personnel really need to know. I'm Sarah Douglas. I'm an associate professor at Michigan State University, and today I'm going to talk about how I do this in my realm of work. So, before I became a professor, I worked as a special education teacher to students with extensive support needs. I worked with students who had a wide variety of needs, who used a lot of different technologies. But today I'm really going to focus on the collaborative tools that were essential to the work that I was doing with them and how those tools have sort of evolved in today's classroom and what teams can use today. So in my work, I also supported lots of different paraeducators. I collaborated with them, as well as other numerous educators and related service providers. Here's just some pictures of the various paraeducators I worked with. That dynamic is a little bit different than other team members, but still requires close collaboration to support the needs of children. What I know is that within my research focusing on children with disabilities, their families, and educational teams, that technology is a critical part of that support. With students, that often takes the form of assistive technology. And when collaborating with team members, it might use tools such as video conferencing, file sharing, or scheduling programs to make sure that we can all meet at the same time. CEC also has recognized the importance of collaboration in the K-12 preparation standards, which are designed for incoming teachers in K-12 settings. They have collaborative goals related to assessment, to supporting the social, emotional, behavioral growth of students, and to teaming. Similarly, in early intervention and early childhood special education, we have CEC standards related to collaboration and teaming, as well as collaboration to support curriculum design and planning. We talk about advanced preparation standards. There's actually a standard all about collaboration. It focuses on having special education teachers collaborate with various stakeholders to support programs and services and individuals with disabilities. It focuses on using culturally responsive practices to enhance collaboration, using collaborative skills to improve the outcomes and programs and services, as well as to collaborate to promote understanding, to resolve conflicts, build consensus, and such. So we know that CEC is saying these things are important. That's really our indicator that collaboration is critical. But what really is included in collaboration? There's some key concepts of collaboration I want to focus on today. First, collaboration involves active communication. All of the members that are collaborating together really need to communicate, create partnerships in order to do things like joint planning, problem solve, build capacity among various team members, and support coaching efforts among the team. There are numerous collaborative approaches in education. When we think about collaborative generally, it requires the creation of common goals, planning together, improving climate or culture of schools and teams, helping diagnose problems within the team, helping support the systems or roles and responsibilities between the team members, supporting leadership efforts, supporting information exchange and communication, really integrating the team into one cohesive unit, and being really responsive to the needs of team members, including the child with disabilities. Coaching is one important piece that occurs in collaboration. And if we're using a collaborative approach to coaching, we need to engage in shared goals, plan together to take actions, engage in observation, and also take moments to reflect and provide feedback. So if we think about all of these different needs within collaboration, what are the tools and technologies that are out there today to support us in that? If we think about collaboration broadly, How are we going to create and share goals together? What tools can we use for that purpose? How are we going to collaboratively plan? We can't all be in the same space at the same time. So using technology and tools will really support that. How can you make sure that all team members are informed, especially in large teams where we have an OT, a PT, speech, maybe a vision specialist, a hearing specialist, a special education teacher, inclusive teacher, paraeducators. Whew, that's a lot of people to keep on the same page. Technology can help us there. How are you going to identify challenges within the team? You might have someone come to you and bring a challenge, and having a place to kind of work through those challenges, brainstorm as a team can be really helpful. And making sure that you're really responsive within the team to the needs that arise, that can really be done through these collaborative tools. If we're thinking about tools to support coaching and the collaboration that occurs when coaching is taking place, you can think about what tools we might need again for shared goals and to create action plans. Tools that might help support observation. It's very difficult in today's schools to do observation in the same space in the same time, but we can use tools to help support observation remotely or to make sure that we're capturing that observation and being able to look at it at a different time. And reflection and feedback can absolutely also be supported using collaborative tools that are out there. So, what we really need to know is what's the right tool for the job? And with so many tools out there in so little time, it makes sense for us to first learn about the tools that are available to us within our organization. Sometimes we want to come up with a tool that's a little too fancy for the job that we need or doesn't really fit quite well. So it's important to ask within your organization, what tools do we have existing within our organization? What purpose could they be used for? And which tools do members of the team already understand how to use well? Doesn't mean we shouldn't use tools that the team members don't know about or don't have understanding about, but we have to recognize that we'll need to provide training around that. So is your school using Zoom? Are they using WebEx? Is Box available? Is like a Google Suite school? All of these things are going to be really important. I know at my organization, Zoom and Microsoft is a really big thing, but in other organizations, it's different. Maybe they're using Box, maybe they're using Google. So finding that out and kind of working from there is important. So I want to start kind of breaking down what are the different tools that we can use for various purposes. So if you need to engage in video conferencing, maybe you need to have a remote meeting. Maybe you want to conduct observations remotely. Maybe you're in one part of the school and someone else is in another part of the school, but you can set up those observations remotely to be a little bit less intrusive. There's lots of different tools available, Zoom, WebEx, Teams. Find out what's available to you and look into using that tool for that purpose. There's lots of different file sharing options. Being able to work collaboratively on a plan, an IEP, any of those kinds of things requires that we often share files, but some of these things are confidential. So we want to make sure that we're meeting HIPAA and FERPA requirements with all of the tools that we're using, but especially when we're talking about file sharing, because it's likely that we're going to have confidential information in our files that we need to talk about. Box, Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, all of these are useful tools for these purposes. It's also important sometimes to make really quick communication with team members. Sometimes we have to make a decision or solve a problem relatively quickly. Maybe it's pretty urgent. In those cases, using communication tools such as email or text, cell calls, doing group chats between different team members, or using tools like Remind to send and push out messages to team members can be really, really helpful. One of the things that's the hardest thing about trying to collaborate together as a team is finding times where we can meet together and everyone's available. But there's lots of different scheduling tools that can aid with that. Calendly is a great tool that allows you to have people sign up for times that are available for you. We have doodle polls that you can use, when to meet polls, And keeping track of what meetings are when and sending out notifications to everyone of how they're supposed to join the meeting, what room it's in, if it's virtual, what the link is. Using tools such as Outlook Calendar or Google Calendar is a really great way for everyone to be on the same page. But again, if your organization kind of is using one in particular, it might be important to use that one so that everyone's familiar with how the notifications work. Sometimes among team members, we have to assign various tasks. Not all of us do everything, and we might need to identify specific people for specific roles. Working through Microsoft Teams or Google Tasks is a great way to assign something specific to different team members and give them deadlines that they have to meet for those particular purposes. So I'm just going to give a couple examples of tools in action. So here's an example of a Zoom coaching call, just a screenshot of it. You don't need to see the whole thing, but I was able to connect with a teacher and a paraeducator, help them work through some of their coaching and capture what happened during coaching so that I could then support them better. File sharing is another thing that I talked about that's really critical. We use a OneDrive file folder for families who participate in our research projects, but the same thing could be done regardless of kind of your organization structure. If you're working in early intervention and you want to share materials with families, you could have private folders that are only available to certain families and teams. And so these file sharing services are really helpful in helping you kind of only giving access to the things that each person needs to have access to and sharing really important and critical information so that the needs of the children can be met more effectively. Oh man, sometimes you just got to get on a text or a phone call to deal with something that's not going right. Here's an example of a text string that happened between different team members in my group where we were troubleshooting some tech issues. We had an iPad that wasn't logging in as it was supposed to. We needed to kind of just find a time where we could meet. It was easiest to coordinate that via text. Then we ended up with a Zoom meeting, fixed everything that we needed to, and now it's working a-okay. So, while it takes a few different steps sometimes, having access to a lot of different tools can help make that happen as quickly as possible. All right, scheduling is so important. This is just a quick view of my schedule. I do a mixture of Microsoft Outlook as well as Google Calendar. My private things, personal things are on my Google Calendar, and Outlook is on my work calendar, but I do have them merged together on my phone so that I can be able to see everything seamlessly as well. If I showed you that, that might make you all a little scared for me. Some days are very packed, but I'm sure you're all experiencing the same thing. And having a schedule there that tells people what they need to be doing, what time, is really, really helpful. It doesn't have to be using technology tools, but maybe use technology tools and then provide a printout to the team as well. This is especially helpful when we're coordinating paraeducator services and where paraeducators need to be one. All right, task coordination is something that is really critical among my research team members, but it's also really critical in special education teams and classrooms. This is an example of some task coordination that we used via Microsoft Teams. The different to-do list represented different groups that we needed to coordinate for, and tasks could be assigned to specific people and checked off when they were completed. That allowed the main team member who was coordinating all of this and overseeing that things were getting done to make sure that tasks were getting done and follow up about those that weren't marked off correctly. So really, in conclusion, collaboration is such an essential part of special education services. We work as a team. We have to be working together cohesively to meet the needs of children that we support. This includes communication, joint planning, partnership and coaching, all of which require different skills and different technology tools to support. And it's so exciting that we live in a day and an age where that technology really does help support us to do this work better, allowing us to meet across various locations, allowing teams to work more efficiently and effectively to meet the needs of children. Thank you so much for joining me. It's really been a pleasure to meet with all of you today, and I hope that you have an awesome day.